Hello, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I am Tina. I apologize for not posting something in a while, but I got struck with COVID, as everyone seems to be getting struck with COVID right now, including my dog that you can hear. No, he has a collapsed trachea. That's a little bit different. Anyway, so I had COVID last week. That was fun. So I didn't get a chance to even read anything because my brain just wasn't working. All I did was basically one day sleep the whole day, and then the other day was lie on the couch and suffer and play Mario Kart because that's the only thing I could do, as I had kids to take care of as well. Anyway, so I am doing a book review today of a book called Riebeckite, which is by O.R. Leah, or Lee, I'm not really sure. This is a sci-fi thriller. It's from 2021 and it's an indie book. I received this book from the author. He reached out to me on my website, Nostromo Publications, and clearly read my exhaustive list of demands for me to even consider reading an unsolicited indie book. So I said, why not? I didn't expect a physical copy, but I definitely appreciated it because he sent me one, so that's fantastic. We had a bit of an email chat, and he seemed like a very swell gent, so that and the free copy in no way, though, affected my review of the novel. I did enjoy it, though. It's really good. Riebeckite, I can never say it right, so Riebeckite is a well-wrought, exciting novel focusing on how, like usual, the greatest threat to our planet is most often our own species. So what is this book about? What if you learned an environmental crisis the world thought it had under control was actually an alien invasion? Growing up in the aftermath of an asteroid moonstrike which showered the Earth with deadly spores, Tahira promised her childhood friend Zareen that overcoming the crisis would one day unite their feuding Azerbaijani and Iranian people. Tahira is now a biologist for a corporation constructing experimental towers which force the spores, known as Riebeckite, to germinate into harmless colonies. Rumors of Riebeckite colonies forming into flesh-eating, animal-mimicking monsters in the Iranian annex are largely dismissed as propaganda by the Talafi, an Iranian militant group who opposes Azeri occupation. But when Tahira makes a discovery linking these stories to the skyscraper towers, her own employer suppresses her findings and frames her as a Talafi collaborator. In a race for her freedom in her life, Tahira has only one person she can rely on, Zareen, now an Iranian freedom fighter. Together they must escape Azeri's police and Talafi militants and survive the horrifying next stage of the Riebeckite's development. Only if they expose the truth can the world unite against the danger which has been gathering at its feet while everyone was watching the sky. So yeah, as I said, it's a sci-fi thriller with a big focus on realism, near-future science, action, and a smattering of politics. In terms of the type of action, it's not a zombie book, but it's a take on a genre you don't often see. I really enjoyed it, and I highly recommended it. The book is also really well put together. It's a testament to self-publishing. The cover, formatting, proofreading, it's all excellent. But what is ribosite, the word, if you've never heard it before? Simply put, it's a mineral. Broadly, one form of this mineral is blue asbestos, the most hazardous kind of asbestos. I think it's clever that the spine of the novel is blue to kind of represent this. Ribosite, or colloquially Reebs in the book, are what the blue spores from the moon are called as well, so that's why it's called that. Onward to the story itself, the plot is great. The concept behind the Reebs and how they manifest, as well as what happens to them later in the story, makes sense and doesn't go off on a huge save the world kind of showdown, which was nice. Similarly, unlike a lot of thriller actions, it didn't go off the rails with the pacing at the end either. While there were a lot of action scenes, far more in the second half than the first, it didn't feel like Tahira had turned into some kind of ubermensch who didn't need to sleep or eat, as sometimes happens in thrillers. Like, you're like, do these people ever just stop to, like, go to the bathroom? That doesn't happen in this. It's more realistic. In truth, she felt realistic and relatable. She's a very normal woman who reacts in ways that are understandable and clever. The story is complex, but it's not complicated, with cogs that move in the background of the story that propel it forward. So the novel has this intricate attention to detail. Little things mentioned in passing come back, but not in a way that feels like it was a setup. It flowed naturally, and it was fun with when these things return to have relevance later. Tahira, as the main character, is as deep as she needed to be for the story. It's not a psychological profile of a woman, but she has foibles, a phobia, passion, a past, family, and friends. She's brilliant, but also a dorky nerd at times, which I liked. She has agency throughout the story and takes action in ways that suit her personality. Zareen was the cool, badass character that worked well as a foil to Tahira, as well as an impetus for both their growths. I could have used more flashbacks to their time as children to cement the relationship, but their closeness was definitely believable. One of the things that was most apparent was how much Tahira hated her boss, Kavari, yet he wasn't a hyperbolic villain. He's just a nefarious person who is also a huge asshole. And I think that's what made her situation with him so relatable, because everyone has had an asshole boss in their life, I'm pretty sure. So it was definitely something that I think any reader could pretty much understand. The other characters were easy to tell apart, and I liked them. The roles were clear. I did feel something when they got hurt, a couple more characters than others. I thought that the love interest character, he was a bit flat, but then again, I didn't want the whole novel to spawn into some romance, so it was nice that that was kind of on the side. The setting is really cool. I don't think I've read a novel set in Azerbaijan before, so this was a refreshing change of scenery for me. In truth, I couldn't remember exactly where the country was, so I had to look it up on Google Maps. It's between the Middle East and Russia, and I was like, oh yeah. I'm also probably sure I'm not pronouncing it properly, even though I went on Google, pronunciation and looked it up, but I can't pronounce anything, so yeah. The first chapters of the novel deal with this kind of pogrom to expel the Iranians from Azerbaijan, leaving the Iranians years later annexed, as it says in the description. This was something that was entirely believable and served the plot well too. The first chapter was really harrowing and quite well done, and very much draws you into the story. I will say, while I really liked the novel and I really enjoyed reading it, I do wish the prose was a bit more punchy. While I found it clear and concise and it moved quickly, I do wish it had a few more flowery kind of metaphorical moments thrown into the descriptions. Everything is approached from an almost scientific angle, so you can picture everything perfectly, but I could have done with a bit more kind of like fun similes. This is like a preference thing though on my part. I think those of a scientific mind or a background in science will likely really enjoy the writing because it is very precise. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I highly recommend it. If you like kind of thoughtful sci-fi that's set in the near future, it's not too, like, there's no one goes into space in this novel, that kind of thing. I recommend it to those who like thrillers with sci-fi aspects, fans of Seven Eves by Neil Stephenson, this thing here. This one's a bit more, especially the last third, a bit more kind of out in space, but I found a similar comparison to this. And then Michael Crichton, in a way, not exactly Jurassic Park, but a couple of his other kind of science-y thrillers. So thank you again to the author. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for sending me a physical copy. I am definitely going to keep it on my shelf. It's going to go, well, right here where the gap was, where it had been before. And thanks again. And thank you for watching. Sorry if this review is a little bit frazzled. I'm still kind of brain fogged from last week. But I'm all better now. I hope.